everybody. This is Amy Hart. How you guys doing out there today? I'm so happy you guys are tuning in. It's a beautiful day. I am in the Hamptons right now, enjoying my family and friends. And I am excited that we are in phase 2 of reopening the city all around different countries right now. It seems like we're doing pretty good. I know that we still have to be very careful. So if you guys feel confident and safe, I would please ask you to wear your mask and bring your family and friends out to support our local businesses, especially our local restaurants. They need us right now, guys. We have to support them so that we can fuel the economy and get back to the beautiful, robust city that we used to be. I'm really happy to see people sitting outside and eating and drinking safely and enjoying this beautiful weather and enjoying each other, because we need each other. We need each other now more than ever. And we've gone through so many different things in the past couple months. And I think I'm very proud of everybody, the way they've stuck together. And I think we need to start getting back into life a little bit. So if you feel safe and confident, I just ask that you get out there as much as you can, and let's be kind to each other, you guys. I am excited to have my very dear guest on, Erik Coleman. He is an outstanding human being and a good friend of mine. He is a former football safety in the NFL. He played for the New York Jets, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Detroit Lions. Following his retirement, he has now joined the SNY team, reporting post-game recaps for the Jets post-game. So you're going to see him out there a lot. He does a lot of different shows. He's really great. And I'm so happy to have him on. We're going to talk about life as we know it today, where the NFL stands for regular season, and the ongoing problem with racism in this country. So you're going to want to stay tuned. Thanks again for tuning in. This is Amy Hart, and you can find me at Amy Hart Live on my Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks, guys. I'll be right back.
Hi, Amy. How you doing?
How are
I'm great.
you?
I'm excited to be on your show and chat with you today.
We finally connected. I feel like everything is still a little crazy.
Yeah.
Getting organized from what's been happening. Where are you right now?
So right now I'm at our home in Delray Beach. Once COVID hit in early March, I packed up the car and I took the kids down to Florida, and we've been down here. We thought we were going to be here for 2 weeks, and we've been down here for about 3 months. So.
Oh, that's so smart. Same thing with us. We went upstate. We were in our house. I haven't been back to the city. I guess it's been since March. I went back once to get some clothes, but I don't know. I just am not ready to go back there.
Yeah, I heard it's like a ghost town there, and it's a shame. Hopefully, we can get the city back to being the heartbeat of America like it was before this pandemic hit.
Oh my God. Okay, so where do we begin? So much has happened since March. It's unbelievable. Are you guys planning on going back to New York, or you think this is your home for good now?
We do plan to go back to New York. It's with the kids, they had their last day of school today. They were still in school in New York, but they were doing it on their computers down here. But I think we'll probably end up staying through the summer and trying to figure out, what's our next move. We sold our house, so we're in home searching mode. So we're looking for our house, and hopefully we can find one over the summer.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that actually were living in New York, and they've decided never to go back, which I was like, wait a minute. Our city's going to come back. Don't everybody leave on me. I mean, people got through 9/11, things happen, but New York always rises back up. So.
Yeah, it does always bounce back, but there are definitely a lot of people, especially down in South Florida, a lot of New Yorkers that moved down here and said, they're tired of the hustle and bustle and they want to get into some nice weather. So there's some people navigating down south, but like you said, I'm sure the city's going to bounce right back.
Yeah, what's funny? I think that just being in the COVID crisis, like got everybody to really think about what they wanted in life and to calm down and sort of go back to themselves. And some people realize they don't want to live that high-paced, exciting life, and they more want to live just relax with their family and their friends. So, I mean, whatever works for you, right?
You definitely get to set your priorities when something like this happens. Whether you work in the office and you figured out, maybe I can work from home and I can spend some more time with my family and enjoy them. I think a lot of people have been doing that and are going to rethink the way that they go about work. Do I want to hop on the subway? Do I want to hop on the train and be around people? do it from the comfort of my own home.
Now, what about you? Have you still been doing, your show? Like, have you still commentating or through your home, or what's happening with that?
Yes, I have been. I've been doing quite a few shows for the Jets from
Right.
home. It's pretty cool. Like doing the CBS shows and doing all the different networks. A lot of the anchors are doing the news from home, so
Right.
it's kind of normal and it's nice. But I imagine once the season gets back going, I will be back in New York. Watching the games, being at the games, commentating and doing my analysis on the Jets and breaking them down. So it's going to be fun, but it's definitely going to be different than it has been in the past.
Well, speaking of the NFL season, I'm dying here. I'm such a sports girl. Gary and I are both sports people. I'm like, how can we have a summer without sports? I've never heard of such a thing. It's crazy, right?
It's been rough.
Yeah. So what do you hear? What's happening? Are we going to have an NFL season this year? When is it going to start? Any word?
Well, from talking to the executives on the Jets, and I actually talked to some people on the Bills, teams are starting to get back to their facilities. They're starting to allow coaches and players to slowly go back to their facilities. There's going to be a lot of precautions, but I do expect things to get back to normal as far as playing. Now, who they're playing in front of is probably going to be the question. There's some rumors down here in South Florida that the Miami Dolphins stadium, instead of, I want to say it's 60,000 people, they're going to have 15,000 people at a stadium. So everyone social distance. But I think it's going to be more of something like that, where there's less people at the game, but it's going to put more emphasis on what we do. The analysis.
Yeah.
People are going to be looking for us to give our opinions, and that makes our job that much more important.
But how do they pick those 15,000? I mean, like who gets priority? I mean, everybody's going to want to go to the game, right?
Yeah, that's going to be, it's going to be a high price ticket. I'll tell you that, especially when you talk about New York and, when the NBA gets back, I don't know how that's going to be. But, those tickets, everyone wants to go to the game. There's nothing like a live football game, a live sporting event. So it's going to be tough. They're probably going to do a lottery or of some sort. I know that I talked to some other people at stadiums where they're going to have thermal cameras to see if you have a fever. And if you have a fever, they're going to ask you to go home and maybe give you a ticket to the next game. So just to try to keep everyone safe.
I wonder what it's going to be like in the suites, in boxes, because, I mean, everyone's kind of on top of each other. But, it's usually people your friends or your family. So I guess you can make those decisions.
Well, the luxury about the suites is, there aren't as you guys know, you can control how many people are in there. And like you said, they're your friends and your family. So you can keep your distance. You can wear your mask, or you could not wear your mask, because these are your people and what they do. So it kind of keeps you in close quarters and away from the masses and people you don't know.
Right, exactly. So have you talked to some players? I mean, what are their thoughts? Are they feeling comfortable about getting back into it, getting back into training?
I have, and a lot of players train down here in South Florida. I trained with some guys last week, and everyone's chomping at the bit. They want to get back to teammates. Us athletes, we're creatures of habit. We're used to are waking up in the morning, doing these things, going to meetings, and you kind of just get your routine, whether it be the off season or in the season. And being away teammates is something that's tough. So a lot of guys, I know that Sam Darnold's bringing a group of wide receivers down here to Miami, and they're going to work out together. Quite a few guys, yes, but hopefully by hopefully by July, by the end of July, they'll be able to have some sort of mini camp and get that camaraderie and that bond to grow your team.
Well, when does normal training start? Because I know the guys have time off. Summer's kind of their, I don't know, summer they start training again though, right? For preseason, going into the fall.
Well, typically, when the season typically ends in January, February, depending on what your team did. And then the off-season training usually starts back up in March. And you'll start with the weightlifting and the conditioning and go to OTAs in April, maybe have a mini camp in the end of May. And then, let me see, you'll go through June, have OTAs through June, and have the whole month of July off. And then at the end of, maybe at the end of July, July 31st, July 30th, you'll come back and start training camp. And that usually lasts 6 to 8 weeks.
So you think regular season will start though, unless the COVID comes back and something happens in that way. But the NFL is planning on moving forward.
Yeah, I think so. And
Okay.
one thing is there's too much money involved with the
Yeah, of
NFL. The TV contracts. It's the most popular sport in America, and
course.
and I think as long as you take those precautions, you take care of the players, the staff, everyone. If you're feeling sick, they stay away. It's going to be a different game, but it's going to get back to normal. It's going to get back to being the old game of football that we all came to love, and hopefully we'll have a stadium full of fans by the end of the season.
Amazing. Amazing. So are the Jets your team? By how are you?
Yeah,
Can I ask
so
that question?
you can ask it. You can ask it.
Okay.
So growing up, I'm from the West Coast. I'm from Sacramento. I grew up in Washington State, and I was a huge 49ers fan.
Nice.
When I was growing up, Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott, they were winning all the Super Bowls. I lived up in Washington State, and they had the Seahawks, and they weren't very good. So
Yeah.
I was always a Niners fan. Yeah, they're
The
terrible.
Seahawks are not my team.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because they were no one in Washington, and now that I go back, as an adult, I look back on Facebook, and all my friends from elementary school, from middle school, they're all Seahawks fans, and I'm like, you weren't Seahawks fans growing up? No one was, and now they're just diehards. But for now, I do root for the Jets. I have a
Yeah.
lot of relationships around the league. I tend to root for the people I know. But
Yeah.
me being doing analysis on the Jets and breaking down their games, if they win, if they're successful, it makes my job a lot easier.
Heck yeah. Well, hope they have a good season this year. I'm rooting for them. I mean, Gary's and I are like Giants fans. I've always been a Broncos fan,
Okay.
especially when Manning was quarterback. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel bad for the Giants. I think it's painful every year.
Well, I mean, at least the Giants have won a Super Bowl in recent history. The Jets haven't won one in over 50 years. So,
Yeah, that's true. All right. So, I want to go into this a little bit because I think, COVID has kind of ripped our lives apart and created major change, but so has all of the racism issues and the death of George Floyd. And it's been unbelievable to me. And I wanted to, talk to you a little bit about it because I'm hoping this creates massive change, but this has happened before. And people get fired up, people, protest, people loot, which is another thing, and it continues to happen. So, I first want to ask you, have you ever experienced with the police any sort of racism yourself?
Me myself, I can't say I have. I have.
Okay.
I've had nothing but. I mean, I wish I could say all positive encounters with the police, but I
Right.
don't. I don't really. I'm not a troublemaker, and I don't go looking for a fight. But a lot of my closest friends are police officers. I
Yeah.
wanted to be a police officer when I was growing up. If I didn't go to college to play football, I was going to go to the Marines and become an FBI agent. And so I have a lot of respect
Wow.
for the officers because they do risk a lot. But as far as what's been going on, George Floyd, that was terrible. It broke my heart. I
Mine
watched,
too.
no matter how many times I watched the clip, I cried every time.
I
And
know.
and to have to explain that to my children was heartbreaking. The
It
fact
is.
there are people out there that would do that to a human being. So, but I do think there is going to be some good that comes out of this. I know
Yeah.
a lot of people are protesting, and I applaud them for protesting. You can go back to all the protests back with Dr. Martin Luther King, and I think that people are starting to get it. I think it's starting
Yeah.
to resonate, and I think that it's going to stick. I was just talking to one of my close friends in Seattle, and they've been having peaceful protests every day. The police are out of Seattle. They
Yeah.
locked up the precinct, and everyone's taking care of one another. And it's nice to
It's
see the
good.
communities kind of bonding. Everyone being willing to hear other people's suffers. Their struggles, and that's what I think is important: is for somebody to open up their eyes and to listen to what's going on with someone else besides yourself. It's easy
Exactly.
to it's easy when it doesn't affect you. It's you just go on about your day, go on about your life. But when you start to look at what's going on to other people, that's when you start to make a difference, when people start to speak out. And I think that you're seeing that. You're starting to see the actors, the athletes, the business owners make a
Everyone.
big
Yeah.
change. Yeah.
You mentioned, that you had a lot of friends that were police officers. I think again it was terrible, and it should have never take place, and it should never happen. But there are good police officers, and there are bad police officers, and I think some of the things that have been happening are unfair to some of these police officers, especially with the looting and the burning down the precincts. And I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I know it's from anger and frustration, but it's not solving anything to go that direction.
Well, in my opinion, there's not going to be one, police officer that can watch that video and say that that officer was justified in doing what he did. I think 99% of the people in this world can see that was wrong, and I don't think that reflects the actions of all police officers. Listen, the community is upset. The protests have elevated into riots and looting, and I don't condone all that. But at the same time, people are tired. They're tired of being oppressed. They're tired of being beat down. They're tired of seeing one another get killed, and they tried the peaceful route, and now that it's starting to escalate. But I will say this: a lot of the protests that I've seen have been peaceful. And then a lot of troublemakers from out of town, or some younger kids are coming through and starting the looting and the rioting that have nothing to do with the protests. And it's
right. They're thieves to begin with. Right?
Exactly.
They're thieves. They're just looking for an opportunity like this to take advantage of.
Exactly. Yeah. And the bad thing about it is it takes away from what the protest is doing. The protest is going out there to be nonviolent, to raise awareness, to fight for change. And then you have, these groups of people that are coming through and taking advantage of a situation. And it's really unfortunate. And I hate to see it.
I hate to see it too. And that's what I said. I said the problem with the news too is they tend to show all of the violence. They don't focus on the positive protesting and the significant results that's come from that. It's more about the chaos, and they circulate on that chaos. right
Yeah, they want to sell papers. They want to get those clicks on the ads, so they're going to show what gets a lot of attention. But there's a lot of good people out there making a difference and making some good sacrifices.
Good. So I have a question for you. Taking a knee during the national anthem has become such a lightning rod issue in the NFL. And players will be allowed to do freely this season. If you were playing today, would you take a knee and look what you've done in the past seasons? Would it be something that you would do?
That's a great question. And I think that I first of all I applaud all the players in the past years who have taken the stand and taken a knee during the anthem. I think that it's been unfortunate that the light has been shed off of what they were trying to do, but with taking the knee, they're trying to raise awareness and talk about that there needs to be change in this world. And a lot of people took that as disrespect to the military when that never was the purpose. It wasn't
what it was about.
It was actually to honor the military, to honor our flag, but at the same time show that there's something going on with this country. And so I think it's sad, where it got taken, to the disrespectful part, and people not realizing that these players are actually, they have grandfathers, they have family members that served in the military, or that are currently serving in the military, and it's nothing but respect. And to see that people kind of switched the narrative and made it to disrespect was very frustrating for me, especially as a black man. I understand that, there are some injustices, there are some things that need to change, and we as athletes, we have a huge platform, and everyone's watching the game, and we are speaking for those who can't speak, who can't be heard. So I think it's important for athletes to do things like that. So, with that being said, I do think I would have taken a knee, in solidarity. I would have, tried to fight for the right things that I believe in. And I think it's important for athletes to use their voices.
I think a lot more players would have taken the knee, but they were afraid of something. They were afraid of losing their jobs. There was a lot of fear based around it, but I think people are really showing up now and looking at that. Like there was something more could have been done. So do you think with everything that's going on in the country that Colin Kaepernick will finally land a quarterback spot this season?
I would like to say yes. I think that there's a lot of people that look back on the Colin Kaepernick situation and say, maybe we should have looked at that different. Yeah. Maybe he wasn't trying to be a troublemaker. Maybe he was trying to make a change. But at the same time, with that being said, he's been out of the game a long time. And I can tell you as a former player, this is a young man's game. and you have to be actively in the game. You have to, there's not much you can do on your own that can prepare you to play at this high level. So I don't see Colin Kaepernick coming back in the NFL because of the
You
fact
don't.
he's been out of the game for so long. I think that he'll be honored. I think there will be, he'll be shown a lot of respect. He'll be welcomed back into the NFL, maybe as a coach, mentor, spokesperson in some sort, but I just can't see him strapping it up and taking hits and making those plays.
I thought it was interesting. I was reading something, watching the video that Roger Goodell admitted that the NFL was wrong for not listening. I'm thinking it's a little too late, buddy.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I mean,
they say hindsight 2020.
Yeah, I mean, like that comes out now. I'm like, all right, but that's par for the course. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's a shame, that it took all these things to happen for people to realize what the players were trying to get done. But at the same time, better late than never.
Right, I agree.
I'm excited at the fact that companies, business owners, executives, team owners, everyone's starting to acknowledge about what's going on. And that was the whole point of the knee, is for you to acknowledge what's going on in our world, in our country.
Exactly.
And let's make a change and be conscious of it.
Because I think sometimes that made such a statement. If you really look at it, you understand it now, because sometimes a lot of people want to make a change, but they don't know how to make a change. Mm-hmm. Or they're fearful of something. I really feel like people are coming together, and maybe it was coming off of the COVID crisis going into this other ordeal, but I see people coming together at this point.
Yeah,
and I hope it stays that way.
Yeah, I do too. It's beautiful to see everyone coming together, and just thinking of, I've said it before in the interview, but just taking time out to reflect on how can I make a change? How can I look at things different? What am I doing wrong? Whether you're black, white, brown, yellow, whatever your color is, what can I do to make myself a better person, to help this world be a better place? And that's, I think, what's important for everyone to reflect and to understand.
Right. I was reading another article about the NFL committing to $250 million over the next 10 years to help finish systematic racism. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean, I think it's great that the NFL is putting money and their celebrity towards it, but it's going to take more than that. It's going to take parents. It's going to take more than just throwing money at it. Everyone's going to have to change the way they think. Everyone's just going to have to be more empathetic, about others, and to start thinking about how my actions affect someone else and how they may feel about what I said or the way that I go about my business. So I think that it's a great start, but I think as a country, we need to come together and just realize what's important.
Yeah, there's a lot of people stepping up that have a lot of opinions, a lot of players. Malcolm Jenkins was also saying that he really doesn't feel that the NFL will get it right until he makes an apology to Colin Kaepernick. I don't know. You think he's going to get an apology? You think he's going to get what he needed? And will that make a difference?
I don't think that's going to make a difference. I don't think that's going to be the pin that changes everything. Listen, I think the NFL, I applaud them. They don't have to be concerned with this. This wasn't an NFL issue, but they stepped up and decided to make something of it and use their platform to help the cause. It's a popular game, and I commend the owners and the players. Malcolm Jenkins has been doing a lot with the Players Coalition. Anquan Bolden, so many others have been doing a great job. I heard J.J. Watt speaking out, Aaron Rodgers. I think it's great to see all the stars of our league, speaking out for social justice and just treating people the right way.
Exactly. So when you were playing for the Jets, and if you look back and you look at what's happening now, how has it changed, just in general, and the way that NFL players are treated for a lot of reasons, their safety, just overall, what has been the biggest change since you played?
Well, as I was playing, it was kind of like the evolution of the game changed as far as safety wise, just watching out for how you tackle people, the different hits. But I think the biggest change that has happened is the I guess the insurgence is the word of social media.
Right.
I think social
Yeah.
media has made it to where players don't need to rely on the game as much. They can have their own brand and they can start their own business and grow their own following. And I think that that's great for the game. You know, for us players, you know, we wear helmets all the time. And for an NFL player to have their own brand, to have their own following, and to be able to take the popularity they have on the field, take it off the field, and grow it into something after the game is a beautiful thing. So, you know, I think there's more opportunities for players. I think players are getting business savvy coming into the league and understanding that this is just a pit stop. You know, I played 9 years in the NFL, and it was the blink of an eye. You know, I was 31 when I retired, and I had my life to live. You know, and I think that players at a young age are starting to realize that, so they're starting to put more into what they do off the field and investments and how they spend their time. So I think it's great.
So you do think social media is a positive thing for
I
business
do.
wise? Okay,
I do.
great.
As long as you use it the right way. You know,
Yeah.
I think that it can be used in a positive manner. It can help grow what you do, shed light on the positive things you're doing in the community. What are you doing in your off time? What are your interests? It lets the fans know more about you rather than, oh man, he's a great player. He can throw touchdowns. How about his family?
How
You know,
the person
what are
besides
his
the athlete.
exactly?
Right?
What
Yeah.
does he like to do? Does he like to go fishing? You know, it's pretty cool to give the fans that insight and that you know, this show a little more.
So if you could give like a best piece of advice to younger guys that are starting out now with the way the world is, the way that the NFL is, the way that everything is, what would you say?
I would say, you know, I mean, my biggest thing when I played and just the way I've lived my life is just treat everybody with respect. You know, treat the janitor the same way you'll treat your head coach. You know, just treat everyone with respect. Take interest in what other people are doing. You know, say hi. Take time to speak to people who you don't feel can help you in that situation. I think that if we all had a little more compassion, it would help everyone. You know, it'd help your attitude. It would help your opportunities. You know, I'm big into, you know, when I talk to college kids, when I talk to young NFL players, I talk to them about, you know, talk to the season ticket holders, you know, ask them what they do. You know, there's a lot of people that are doing positive things in the community, business wise. And as a player, you know, it's great, you know, in your off season, let me go check out what you do. Let me job shadow, see what you do. I think that would be smart for a lot of young players to maybe find out what their interests are outside of the game. Cool.
So what's in your future? What are you looking forward to doing? Are you loving what you're doing right now, working with the Jets, or do you have some other ideas of things you want to do?
You know what? I love life. You know, I love spending time with my family. I love playing football, so it's great. But you know, business wise, I'm in corporate insurance, and I'm loving that as well. You know, it's great to go out and meet business owners, executives, and learn about different businesses and see how I can help them. You know, I'm being able to help a lot of businesses, and you know, it's another challenge for me. You know, it's hard to match that high of coming out and playing in front of 100,000 people.
Yeah, that adrenaline.
But when you're done playing and you find something that you love, you know, just communicating with people. I love philanthropy. I love just networking. It's one of my passions. I love networking and just meeting people. And I'm a curious person, so you know,
you're amazing for that.
Thank you. And the opportunities, you know, tend to come. So I'm open. I'm an open book. I'm open to different challenges, and we'll see where life takes me.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I'm so happy that I was able to have you on, and let's go Jets. Let's go NFL. Yeah. I want sports back. I want our beautiful life back. And you know, I think we're both sending the message out there to be compassionate and kind and caring to people, because that's really what it's all about. You know?
It really is. And
it is.
I appreciate you having me. And I'm a huge fan of the show. And I wish.
Thank you. Please give your beautiful wife a kiss for me and those beautiful kids, and enjoy your time in that wonderful weather right now. It's enjoy your summer.
All right. Thank you. You too. Hopefully I'll see you very soon.
You will. Have a great day.
All right. You too.
Thanks. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I've had a beautiful show today. I had amazing guests on, Erik Coleman. I have known him and his family for a while, and they're incredible people. It was great to hear a little feedback on what's happening with the NFL. I know that we're all anxious for the sports to come back in general for the summer and in the fall, but football is one of my favorite. There's nothing like an October game anywhere I'll go for any sports, both football and baseball. So we're really excited to have the next couple shows on. I'm focusing on the NFL, and I'm going to have a couple more players on talking about the season, talking about everything that's happening in this world. It's amazing the strides that we've been made since March. I think there's some big changes happening, and I am 100% in for supporting people and being kind to people. This is how we get through these things, sticking together. So I'm proud of everybody out there. I'm sending tons of love. You can find me at Amy Hart Live on Instagram, at Amy Hart Live on Twitter and iTunes. And check out my show, The Amy Hart Show. Every Wednesday, I will release my podcast, and I'm so happy to have you guys here. So take care of yourselves. Have a beautiful weekend, and we'll talk to you later. Ciao.
A Parkville Media Production.